I am Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on NewsFeed today.
These are just two of the many. This is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life.
A massive fish kill in Australia exposes the country's water worries. Where is Rahaf? Days after launching her bid for freedom on Twitter, the 18-year-old Saudi mysteriously disappears from the internet. A racist Tintin comic from the 1930s re-released for the digital age. And hey, it's some Japanese monkeys in Friday's Animals Doing Stuff. At the top of our newsfeed, dead fish in Australia. Pictures showing tens of thousands of rotting fish in a river in New South Wales have been going viral for the past week. It's something of an environmental disaster, but what it also does is expose the politics at play in the nation's water management. Denis explains.
And look at these iconic fish of Australia being treated like this.
This is the scene in New South Wales, Australia, where thousands of native fish, including critically endangered Murray cod, are floating dead on the Darling River. Authorities are blaming environmental factors.
We do know that fish kill is something that we can see as a result of drought, and unfortunately we may see more in the future.
It's believed the fish died because a cold snap killed an algae bloom in the river, starving it of oxygen. But these local farmers say there's a bigger problem at play: greed and government mismanagement.
This has nothing to do with drought. This
No.
is a man-made disaster.
The Murray-Darling Basin is Australia's largest river system, providing water to farms and towns in many parts of the country's east. After a particularly bad drought about 20 years ago, the federal government created the Murray-Darling Basin Authority to protect the health of the waterway and to make sure water was allocated fairly. But in the years since, there have been reports that some farmers and irrigators are ignoring the rules, stealing water upstream and leaving people downstream with almost nothing.
Where they're now trucking in water because this isn't fit for human consumption, let alone bathing in, and it's not fit for animals either, but we have no other options.
This fish is 100 years old. It's never coming back. This is bloody disgraceful.
The farmer's video has now been watched nearly 5 million times, forcing the issue into the headlines in Australia and around the world.
This is man-made. They pumped the life out of that river. Irrigators and cotton farmers were given a free ride.
So with farmers now competing for scarce water resources, is this the beginning of Australia's water wars?
All right, let's take a look at some of the other things that have caught our eye on social media. Now, the fallout from last weekend's explosive R. Kelly expose continues, with Lady Gaga being the latest star to distance herself from him. She put a lengthy statement on Twitter saying she was sorry for her poor judgment when she was younger, and that the song she recorded with him, Do What You Want, open brackets, with my body, close brackets, was made at a dark time in her life when she was in a state of post-traumatic stress due to her being a victim of sexual assault. She added the song will be removed from all streaming services. A fake photo of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez didn't have the impact its creators were hoping for. It was quickly debunked by the woman who's actually in the photo and roundly criticised by most of the internet, apart from the trolls who put it up. AOC then wrote this in response. She said, "What blows my mind is how the GOP, that's the Republicans, would think a fake nude photo is worse than actual sexual assault. We've seen in the past that the Republicans are fine with their own members committing sexual assault, yet they believe a nude should end a woman's career. Hashtag patriarchy in action." Rahaf Al-Qunun has deleted her Twitter account reportedly because she's been getting death threats. The irony is, it was that account that may have saved her life earlier this week when she used it to request asylum from Australia or wherever would take her, because she said her life was in danger. She's from Saudi Arabia and fled her family because she says they wanted to kill her. She's been given refugee status by the United Nations and is currently thought to be in Thailand. And next up, China and Taiwan have been in the headlines over the past few days, in part because of the war of words between the two countries' leaders over China's plan to reunify Taiwan. Omar takes a look now at why relations between the two neighbours are growing tenser by the day.
Are there two Chinas? Well, there's two governments, both with China in their names. There's this one, the People's Republic of China, which sits here. Then there's the Republic of China, also known as Taiwan, over here. These small islands that make up Taiwan are home to 23 million people and sit just southeast of mainland China. Since 1949, they have had an independent government, which was once a one-party military dictatorship and has since become a multi-party democratic government. Then back to the mainland, where 1.3 billion people are governed by the Communist Party of China. So which one is the real China? And where does Taiwan fit into all of this? To understand what's going on, we need to go back to 1912, to the fall of the Qing dynasty and the end of 2,000 years of imperial rule. That's when the Republic of China, or ROC, was founded. It looked like this. Over the next 15 years, armed rebellion spread across the country, leading to the birth and growth of the Communist Party of China. After the mass killing of communists in 1927, they fought back against the ruling nationalist government, and the Chinese Civil War officially began. After World War II ended in 1945, the Chinese Communist Party succeeded in overthrowing the Nanjing-based ROC nationalist government in 1949, who then fled to Taiwan and made Taipei its new capital. The People's Republic of China, PRC, established its capital in Beijing, and the ROC lost its UN seat to the PRC in 1971. The PRC officially holds the title of China, but many countries still have unofficial ties with the ROC. For instance, the US Congress set up the Taiwan Relations Act, allowing the US to continue some foreign missions there, such as the sale of more than $25 billion in arms to the island since 2007. So there's one government in Taipei and another in Beijing, and the two governments are at odds over the status of the island. For the PRC, there is one China, and Taiwan is a part of it. In 1992, both governments kind of agreed to this, but they differ on who is the legitimate government of that China. So what do the people of Taiwan think about this? The majority of the population, although ethnically Han, by and large consider themselves to be Taiwanese and not Chinese. And although independence was tacitly restricted by the 1992 agreement, some of the newer political leaders have expressed their desire of sovereignty.
在这里，我要重申，台湾绝不会接受一国两制，绝大多数台湾民意也坚决反对一国两制。 而这也是台湾共识。
But Beijing is not budging. Instead, it has reiterated its desire for what it calls peaceful national reunification, and threatened that if Taiwan goes for independence, then the peaceful part of the unification could go out the window.
我们愿意为和平统一创造广阔空间，但绝不为各种形式的台独分裂活动留下
But could the mainland successfully invade and hold the island even if it wanted to? Experts say the chances are low. Firstly, there's the 160-kilometer-wide Taiwan Strait to cross. Ferrying troops would be a slow-moving and difficult operation. The surviving forces would still have to trudge through the beach with their equipment under heavy fire from the 180,000 active-duty Taiwanese soldiers, plus some or all of Taiwan's 1.5 million reservists. Instead of an invasion, China is trying to use political and economic means to bring the island back under its control. China is the island's largest trading partner. It's been good for business on both sides of the strait, but it does give the mainland leverage. So are the two sides ready to take on one another?
Okay, let's go around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Friday. In the United States, a 13-year-old girl who'd been missing since her parents were found murdered in October has been found alive. Jamie Kloss was found in a town more than 100 kilometers from where she vanished. A suspect was taken into custody 10 minutes after the police found her. A bus driver in the US state of Wisconsin has been commended for doing this. She spotted a toddler walking along a bridge alone with no shoes. Irene Ivich picked up the little one and kept her warm until the police arrived. Local reporters who spoke to the child's father said he blamed his wife. He said that she had mental problems and left the baby after being in church. A man at the centre of a scam involving the GoFundMe website has been arrested. Johnny Bobbitt and two other people, Mark D'Amico and Caitlin McClure, are accused of making up a sob story about Bobbitt giving McClure his last $20 and then asking the internet to give them money. And the internet did, a lot of money, $400,000, which they allegedly spent on holidays, gambling and narcotics. And this is the latest image released by the Chinese of the far side of the moon. It's a 360-degree picture showing the moon, the lander and the rover. Now, the Chinese National Space Administration landed on the far side of the moon on January the 3rd. They are the first nation to do so and will be carrying out a bunch of experiments which will help with future manned missions. The Chinese say they plan to send someone up there by 2025. Now, the NewsFeed crew's star signs in no particular order are Virgo, Taurus, Sagittarius, Aquarius and Libra. And if that means as little to you as it does to me, good. But some people are really taking it far too seriously, and according to the internet, zodiac shaming is a real problem. In fact, a dating app called Bumble now lets users filter out other people based on star signs, which is a good way for people to stay single, if you ask me, which no one does. And these are our favourite pictures from today. They are of baby Chanko from Japan, who is the heir of Tintin, or some may say Pantene, in Japan. Her luxurious locks have got more than 250,000 followers on Instagram, and she is only one. The ad says, "Here we go." Now, a racist representation of the Belgian Congo from the 1930s comics is being reproduced for the digital age. Why, you may ask me? Well, because the company who made it want to make money. Take a look at this. Tintin is turning 90, and to mark the iconic journalist's decades of adventures, a digital version is being released of the 1930 book Tintin in the Congo.
In 2019, a new version of Tintin in the Congo will be published. A fourth version, if I may say so, that's in digital form. It's published today in 3 languages, French, Dutch and English. This is a remastered version, that's to say it was made as close to the originals as possible, based on the original plates of Tintin in the Congo.
But the announcement has caused controversy. The comic is set in what was then a Belgian colony. It shows Tintin's encounters with diamond smugglers, big game hunters and wild animals. But it's the openly racist portrayal of Africans that does not sit well with many.
Currently, here in Europe, this Europe which is completely tense on a withdrawal into itself, a fallback into nationalist ideas of identity, we really ask ourselves if it is the right moment to republish Tintin in the Congo, the first version, that was not stripped of all that it has spread. We are really wondering if it's really a good time to do that.
It's not the first time the colonial-era book has made news. In 2007, a Congolese campaigner went to a Belgian court to complain about the book's racist tropes. But the court ruled the book was a product of its time and found no evidence that the creator intended to incite racism. A sentiment shared by the creator, Georges Remy, better known as Hergé, and by the company currently.
Dialogue is most important, and the work of deconstruction, decolonization is just as important. And I will say that the colorization of this album is not the colonization of minds. It's not in that direction that we're working.
Tintin has a phenomenal reach all around the world. The books have been translated into 77 languages, and an estimated 230 million books have been sold worldwide. The re-release of this edition proves revenue trumps racism. The adventures of Tintin continue despite the controversy it creates. And in Friday's Animals Doing Stuff, we want to show you some macaques in Japan. Now, people online have understandably been loving this footage of a troop of them walking along a telephone wire in frigid, snowy conditions. And because most people are basic, they've begun to call them the Arctic monkeys, which is stupid because Japan is nowhere near the Arctic. But whatever, it's Friday. Enjoy. Well, that's all from the NewsFeed team. Reach out to me with your comments, questions, complaints and suggestions. I'm at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on YouTube. Add me on Twitter and Instagram. See you again soon.